morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Minister Michelle Hoiber-Winkler for inviting me to be one of today's speakers. I feel honored to share my personal experience with all of you. I am a woman. I am a daughter and a granddaughter. I am a sister. I am a wife and a mother. I am a friend. I am a teacher. I'm a nature lover. I am a reading advocate. And I am not afraid to say I am recovering from depression. What I'm not is a public speaker, unless it's a classroom full of my students. So I'm going to do as if all of you are students, but only bigger. So bear with me if I say 1,000 times. Now, back to the issue. I speak here today not because I find myself so important, but to help fight the stigma and discrimination that takes place for those affected by mental health concerns, and thus keeps them, us, from getting the help, the treatment, and the understanding that we deserve. I hope that by being vocal about my experience will not only help our children, but anybody else, now that I'm using this public forum, to recognize the issue, not feel ashamed to ring the alarm, and make it acceptable to talk about it. Now, how does somebody like me get there? I was leading a good life, doing a lot of things I love to do. You could say I was on fire. For 12 years, I was unstoppable. While I was studying, I got married to my lovely husband. Midway through my studies, I became a mother for the first time. And of course, I did not only want to breastfeed Thomas, but I also volunteered for the Pro-Leche Mama Foundation. At the end of my studies, while finishing my thesis on the importance of reading to children and discovering my passion for the topic, I became a very active reading advocate. Now, the reason for the topic touches me so much and what it says about me, but unfortunately, that cannot be told in 20 minutes, so take my word for that. After my studies, I became a full-time teacher straight away. And seeing the various areas in which some kids needed extra help, I started a group on Saturdays especially for them. Even when I changed schools, I continued helping kids with different needs. When our son was 3 years old, we took him to a specialist for the first time because we suspected he was autistic. It took another 3 years for him to be officially diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Can anyone guess what I did in the meantime? Read about it. Introduce techniques into our life to help our son, like making activity calendars, label objects at home, take him to a speech therapist, and everything else I thought could benefit him. In the next 7 years, I kept going in the same pace. I had our second child, a daughter. Of course, I needed to treat Lara equally and breastfeed her too, while still working full-time. My father would even bring her to school so I would not have to interrupt my teaching for too long while I needed to breastfeed her. So all of my students in class were part of all this when Lara came in class. Instead of the long-term projects I did before, I thought, let's do some short-term projects. I introduced International Code Day to Aruba and organized its first activity together with SETAR and the National Library. I started a book project with and for kids about famous people, the famous Madame Tussauds. I organized a film presentation and Q&A about and with Sarakita. For those who do not know her, she is a multiple-time world champion windsurfing in different categories, and she's from Aruba. I organized Skype conferences for 6th graders, one with an Aruban astronomer and one with a Dutch award-winning illustrator. And when I say organize, I mean not only contacting the speakers, but also finding the money, the sponsors, and all the other logistical matters to be able to make sure my project would go through. As you can see, even recruiting my husband, my father, and any other family member or friend to assist me. Together with a group of parents, I coordinated Christmas visits for a school student to the elderly. We brought them baskets, painted their nails, provided entertainment for a whole day. And this was so beautiful and filled us each time we did this, and we did this for 2 years. Then one day, my best friend / soul brother thought it would be a great idea for us to participate as a group of 4 in the yearly run around the island, the famous Rondje Aruba. It ended up with the rest of us running and him going on a work-related trip. But that's another story. After that, I thought it would be a piece of cake to run the Aruba Bank Run with the school kids as part of our school health program, because we were one of the pilot schools of a healthy school. And the running continued. My husband's office planned to participate in the 2016 Miami Half Marathon. After all my running, they invited me too. And what do you think my answer was? Yes, sure, why not? My husband does the best imitation of my yeses. Last year, on January 24th, I ran the Miami Half Marathon with my husband and his office. And I wasn't feeling very well and needed to call a friend to make sure how she can help me get this cough out of my way so I could run in that 6 degrees it was, I think, yes, 6 degrees. And as you heard in the introduction, I was awarded the Golden Apple for an Elementary School Teacher of the Year in 2015. I felt very honored to receive this special recognition. So again, I was on fire. I was the superwoman I always wanted to be. But then I crashed, proving that you first have to be on fire before you burn out. All of a sudden, I could not eat. I could not sleep. I couldn't bear to hear any sound. My heart was racing. I started having anxiety attacks. Maybe I should call them panic attacks, but they were very heavy. And it kept coming more and more. And the days went by, and things started spiraling down. I couldn't take care of myself, my kids, my family, my students. I couldn't be what I so badly wanted and loved to be. And that became my sadness. Yes, you heard it right. I was depressed, but I was not sad right away. As Andrew Solomon says, the opposite of depression is not happiness, but vitality. Before I became sad, I just became totally inactive from one day to the next. I couldn't run anymore. I could not swim anymore, and I could not be the mother, the wife, the friend, the teacher I so badly wanted to be. Thanks. I can say I was in denial, that it was something out of my control. I thought it would go away, and I waited and waited desperately for it to be over. But it did not go away. And then I became sad. Things got worse and worse. Now I could not get out of bed. Taking a shower was like asking me to run a marathon. This was mid-March last year in 2016. So in a couple of days, it will be a year ago. There was no hiding anymore. My family, my closest friends knew something was wrong. And I finally accepted it too. But I still had a fear of taking medication. I'm not talking about anti-anxiety and anti-depression medicine, but even sleeping pills. I was fortunate enough to be blessed with a group of loving family and friends who were not afraid nor ashamed to touch upon the sensitive topic of depression. I say ashamed because it's still a taboo here in Aruba. Some of them shared personal experiences, and this helped me accept that getting help is a sign of strength and not of weakness, even if it came from a pill. And I state this explicitly because my aversion for pills was so great that my husband held my hand the first time I took my sleeping pill, and all the while I was crying. Besides taking sleeping pills, I also took anti-anxiety medication and antidepressants to get better. When the school new year started in August, I felt good enough to go back. I was approved for 2 hours a day. Even though I did try to really keep to those 2 hours a day, this did not include the preparation, the shopping for school supplies, and other extra projects that are the basis of my teaching style. And to be honest, I did stay more than 2 hours at school. It was inevitable that I relapsed a few times. Had it not been for my support system, which consisted of loving family members and best friends, I would not have made it. Since December, I feel much better. But that is also when I decided to take a sabbatical. My perfectionism just does not allow me to do something halfway, so it is best for me to take a step back. I have to stress my support system again here. Have they not convinced me, the independent woman, that not working for a while was really okay, and that not change me as a person in their eyes, I do not think I would have been able to do so. I recognize not everybody is the same, but the way I got out of my depression is through a holistic approach. For me, that meant taking my medication and following my treatment plan. Now, I didn't want to get much into this, but there's really a difference between the two, and just taking your medication is not enough if you do not stick to the treatment plan, which includes talking to your psychologist and psychiatrist. Also very important is eating and sleeping well. I also did breathing therapy. I also went to meditation and yoga. I was trying to do everything to get back to being who I so badly wanted to be again. In short, you have to make sure that you do your part. I believe your mental health and your overall physical health are connected. So it is important to think holistically and work with a professional team. And yes, here in Aruba, we do have professionals who can help. I am sure it is no surprise that I started reading a lot about depression and other related mental health issues. One of the books I decided to read was on mindfulness. Very simplistically put, mindfulness teaches you to be in the moment. And for a multitasker like me, that is not an easy feat. So I had to teach myself that monotasking is okay. Mindfulness taught me to prioritize, choose what is important in that specific moment of my life. For me, it works like a seatbelt. It keeps me safe. I still have anxiety, but mindfulness has taught me to accept it and not to let it develop into a paralyzing panic attack. It taught me to be patient and to live in the now. And in the now, I look back to see if I can find the warning signs. Maybe I was getting more physical ailments than before. Maybe I was more often sick than before. Was the sudden rash that I had 2 months before a warning sign? Did I have more frequent headaches, insomnia? When did my sensibility start? It is very hard to indicate the warning signs. Maybe they were there, but I just didn't pay attention to them. I think I can best explain the following anecdote. Towards the beginning of my recovery, my husband and I were sitting on the porch. With tears in his eyes, he said, "I feel I should have stopped you. But all I saw was that you were thoroughly enjoying life, and I was. I was just doing too much." I do not speak here with any claims to solutions, but mainly to remove the stigma in talking about mental health issues. That's why I'm happy to see more celebrities speak up and share their experiences with mental health illness. Because when I grew up, I thought they had a perfect life. And I'm happy that this generation is open to talk about their struggles and hardships, but also about their recovery. And I want to quote Demi Lovato here, who is not only vocal, but also active. I agree with her when she says, speaking up is the key to living well. Talking about your experience can be a challenge at times, but it's worth it. By being vocal, you can develop more coping skills, stronger relationships, and a better sense of yourself. And with all the celebrities, and what all the other celebrities also show is that you are not alone. Thank you. Namaste.